When it comes to powerful people in the United States, you don't look much further than the President of the United States. With that being said, wealth and riches don't automatically come with the title of president. Some U.S. presidents acquired their fortune before they took office. Others didn't make the majority of their riches until they left the White House. Others had a rise in their net worth during the actual presidential term. Of course, not all politicians or presidents become well-known or affluent, but for those who do, the outcomes are astounding. It might be time for us all to start thinking twice about a career in politics. Today, we are going to take a look at the wealthiest presidents in the history of the United States. We'll see exactly how they amassed all their money, how their presidency was remembered, what controversies did they get into, and more interestingly, what they spend their wealth on. You might be surprised by some on this list, but strap in and let's find out. Number 6. James Madison. He is considered the founding father of the Constitution and served as the United States' 4th president. After taking over for Thomas Jefferson as president in 1809, Madison was in charge of initiating the American entry into the War of 1812 with Great Britain and overseeing the establishment of the Second Bank of the United States in 1816. Madison's presidency came to an end in 1817, but he remained involved in politics, serving as an advisor to several successive presidents, including Andrew Jackson. He was raised in a wealthy family in Virginia, so he was far from being a poor man. Madison enjoyed a prosperous legal career as well. His time in politics did nothing but increase his wealth. Before being elected president, though Madison worked as a lawmaker and Secretary of State, the use of slaves as labor was a major source of Madison's riches. He was raised on a southern plantation that employed slaves for labor. Madison also had a change in his personal life. In 1794, at the age of 43, he wed Dolly Payne Todd, a lively Quaker widow with one son, at the age of 26 following a brief romance. Dolly had a very different personality from the reserved, quiet Madison. She enjoyed entertaining, and she frequently threw dinner parties and receptions where Madison could mingle with other notable people of the era. Dolly Madison and James Madison, who were married for 41 years, apparently spent very little time apart. He is estimated to have a net worth of $113 million. Number 5. Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson served as the 7th President of the United States from 1829 until 1837, serving as the person's voice. But his fortune started when he began his legal studies in Salisbury, North Carolina when he was around 18. His successful legal profession allowed him to accumulate a sizable sum of money, which he then put into real estate. However, not all of it was self-made, because he married into money in 1794 when he married Rachel Donelson. Despite all this, he has had a few scandals in his life. The most popular scandal Andrew Jackson was involved in was the Petticoat Affair, which involved his cabinet and their wives. From 1829 to 1831, there was a political scandal involving President Andrew Jackson's cabinet members and their wives called the Petticoat Affair, also known as the Eaton Affair. The Petticoats, which was led by Floride Calhoun, the wife of Vice President John C. Calhoun, socially isolated Secretary of War John Eaton and his wife, Peggy Eaton, because they disapproved of the circumstances of their marriage and believed Peggy Eaton did not uphold the moral standards of a cabinet wife. This incident led to the resignation of all but one cabinet member. Nevertheless, Andrew Jackson is renowned throughout history for using his fortune however he liked. He spends most on whiskey, foreign cuisine, and furnishings, as well as repeated renovations of his pricey property. When he left office, he was estimated to have a net worth of around $132 million. Number 4. Theodore Roosevelt. He was the 26th President of the United States from 1901 to 1909. In history, he is one of the least criticized U.S. presidents. He was lionized by many and elevated to the status of the perfect politician and leader. He is referred to as a trustbuster, a humanitarian, a lover of nature, and an extraordinarily captivating orator whose talks have the power to move an audience. Roosevelt had a sizable inheritance because he came from a rich, prestigious family. He received a $60,000 inheritance from his reformed father. Today, it is worth more than $1.3 million. He survived on his father's money for several years before investing most of his wealth in ranches in the Dakota Territory. However, after losing most of his money on his ranching business, he turned to writing to sustain himself. But even while his success as a public servant helped him make up some of his financial losses, he inherited a lot more money. And although he had previously made unsuccessful real estate investments, the 235-acre estate he built, known as Sagamore Hill, is currently one of the most expensive homes on Long Island. It appears that he has since corrected his financial blunders. It isn't easy to estimate his exact wealth, so we estimate his net worth to be over $140 million, making him one of the richest U.S. presidents. But what exactly does he do with his fortune? At only 22 years old, he primarily traveled, purchased cattle, and acquired real estate. For instance, he bought a prime real estate that would become his estate on Long Island. The lavish residence included a bathroom with a porcelain tub and a water closet, which at the time was practically unheard of. Number 3. Thomas Jefferson. He was the third president of the United States who presided from 1801 to 1809. When he was just a teenager, he received an inheritance of 3,000 acres of land close to modern-day Charlottesville, Virginia. The land was increased to 5,000 acres during Jefferson's tenure in Virginia, and he constructed his renowned Monticello house, regarded as one of the age's architectural wonders. Before becoming president, Jefferson amassed a significant fortune as a politician. Some estimate it to be more than $241 million. However, he was deeply in debt towards the end of his life. Some claim that he was completely bankrupt. So, what happened to all of his money? It all narrows down to his lifestyle. Jefferson was first exposed to the wonders of French gastronomy when serving as minister to the court of Louis XVI in 1784. He was not just a notable statesman upon his return to America, but also a lover of great cuisine. His special French chef served him the greatest cuisine and most luxurious treats from 2 continents. And don't forget about the French, Spanish, and Italian wines. The cost estimate of his wines would cost $10,000 over a year. That translates to between $1 million and $2 million in current dollars. Number 2. George Washington. It is estimated that Washington had a net worth of $587 million. The U.S. Republic's founding father, who was also honest, earned money from investments, officer salaries, and survey fees. Furthermore, between 1789 and 1797, his presidential salary accounted for 2% of the federal budget. That would be worth an astounding $60 billion now. However, what made him rich was his inheritance. It was his 8,000 acres of prime farmland in Virginia at Mount Vernon, together with the 300 enslaved people that toiled there. His wife Martha received a sizable inheritance from her father as well. Washington also possessed property in the District of Columbia, New York, and the Ohio Valley. You might ask yourself, has Washington ever done anything he regretted? As we all know, the initial seat of the government established by the Constitution takes place in New York City. This was where the first president took the oath of office in April 1789. Samuel Francis, a well-known city tavern owner, was then chosen to serve as his first cook. But Francis, the president's cook, was a bit on the pricey side, and after George noticed that he charged $3 for a single fish meal in 1790, Washington fired Francis in response to criticism of his lifestyle. However, the president was not happy with his new chef, so after the capital was once more moved, this time to Philadelphia, in 1791, Francis was employed once more and continued to work there until his retirement in 1794. Number 1. Donald J. Trump. Donald Trump is considered the wealthiest president of all time. He presided over the United States as its 45th president as he held office from 2017 to 2021. His current net worth is reportedly $2.9 billion. His father became one of the most successful businessmen in the U.S., thanks to his success in real estate and housing. And when he was 3, his father had established a trust where Trump received $60,000. Trump eventually took over his father's businesses as he grew older, making him billions of dollars. But how does he spend all this wealth? He has 3 properties close to Mar-a-Lago, each worth $25 million. He also owns homes in Beverly Hills, St. Martin, and the Trump Tower penthouse, which comprises 213 acres of rolling hills and an indoor pool covered in imported marble. And to top it off, he owns a fleet of aircraft, including a $100 million Boeing 727, so he is not required to travel in a carriage like other presidents. Then there are the automobiles, which include several Ferraris, Maybachs, and Phantom Rolls-Royces. But was Trump a grievous president, despite his wealth in light of all the scandals associated with him? Unfortunately, Donald left a legacy of profound corruption and egregious conflicts of interest. The main criticisms of Donald Trump in the context of the 2016 presidential election have frequently centered on his racism, temperament, or propensity for lying. Trump also exhibits another important quality that has received some attention but requires much more. He consistently exhibits corruption. He has shown a record of seeking to profit himself by exploiting the trust others have placed in him whenever he has been in positions of power or authority. Seeing all this wealth, why shouldn't we join politics? All of them seem to have a net worth of over $100 million. Pretty impressive, wouldn't you say? Maybe I'll try my hand at running for president someday. Anyway, which among them fascinated you the most and why? Hope you enjoyed the video. See you in the next one.